Okay, this assignment, I'm going to go over 5 problems. This can be a little bit annoying, okay? So if you don't have a packet in your virtual, you need to set up the boxes and up the directions you're going to write solve the equation. Okay. Now, in this assignment, I'm actually going to do one problem. I'm going to use 2 boxes going this way for each problem. So here is my first equation. 9 minus x equals negative 13. My job, of course, is to solve for x. But it's more complicated than just 2 things to do. Okay, here's a procedure that works. First off, you can make your wall on the side where the x's are at. Then you set your operators. So 9 minus, so it's going to be plus negative. When you put a negative in front of an x, you really need to put a 1 there, and then a times operator. Because you shouldn't have a negative sign in front of a variable with not a number. Now, if the negative wasn't there, I wouldn't have to do that, but it is. Minus plus negative 1 times. Okay? Putting 1s. I know that looks sloppy, but it works. Okay. Now, you'll see some of these problems have parentheses. This is not one of them, so we skip step 2. We don't worry about that. Now, you need to combine the x's if you have to. Now, we have 2 different x terms. Those need to be combined always by adding. Okay. So line up your equals. Put your negative 13. So we got negative 1 plus negative 1. Well, it's just negative 1 and then going 1 to the left. So it's negative 2x plus 9. Now I'm going to reset my operators. Times and plus. Circle the times. Actually, I should have been circling the times up there. I always tell you to do that. So, alright, now we get rid of the outside. So combine x's if we need to. We need to get rid of the non-multiplied terms to 0 by adding or subtracting. So that 9, not multiplied, needs to be out of there. To get 9 to 0, you'd subtract. So negative 2 dot x, negative 13 minus 9 is negative 22. Then you divide. You're not going to have to multiply. You're always undoing doing the opposite of multiplication here today. That's 11. Now, if I wasn't sure about that answer, I'd go into the equation where all the operations are happening on the side. Plug it in. 9 minus 11 minus 11. When I click equals, that ought to be negative 13. It is. Next problem, we got 25 equals 7 plus 3x minus 12. So x is over here this time. Set the operators plus, times, remember to circle times, minus, plus, negative that. Circle times and divide, fix minuses into plus negatives. Okay, their parentheses are not an issue here, so we move on. Combine x's if you need to. I don't need to combine x's. All I have is the 3 times x. The only x I have is multiplied by 3. It's not like I have 2 negative 1 x's like I did here. Now the non-multiplied terms, you got to get the non-multiplied terms to 0 by adding or subtracting. Well, over on this side there's 2 non-multiplied terms, 7 and negative 12. So let's talk about the 7 first. To get 7 to 0, you would go left, which means subtract 7. Then I go over on the other side of the wall and subtract 7. Now don't stop there. You have another non-multiplied term, negative 12. Well, to get from negative 12 to 0, you go right, which means plus 12. Plus 12. Now, line up your equals. You can do it just like that. 25 minus 7 is 18, plus 12 is 30. 3 dot x, okay? And then finally it's time to divide. So 10 equals x, so x equals 10. So I'm going to check the answer. 7 plus 3x, that's 3 times 10, minus 12, boom, 25, okay? Okay, next problem. X minus 2 parentheses x plus 10 equals 12. Set the operators up. So you got minus plus negative, then times x plus 10, then you're good. Okay, wall's over here. Okay, now the parentheses is a problem. There cannot be parentheses. If there are, you need to multiply with the distributive property and then reset the wall and the operators. So first, look at your parentheses. The outside multiplying number is a negative 2. Okay? So I come over here and I write negative 2 down twice. And I'm going to times by x, and then I'm going to times by 10. So it's negative 2x and negative 20. So line up your equals. You got 12 here. Then you're going to write what you just got with the plus sign between them. Now you're going, after that's done, you're going to cross out the parentheses and the number that was multiplied into the parentheses. So all this is now gone. But you still have this x here that you need to add to your equation. Okay. So now the parentheses are gone, but we want to reset the wall and the operators. So the wall's here. Operators, negative 2 times x plus negative 20 plus x. Okay, good. Combine x's if you need to. Yes, we need to combine x's. There are 2 of them. Okay. So I write x down and I add the numbers in front. This is always an adding operation when I'm doing this. Negative 2, okay, this x would need a multiplier. Well, I'll put the 1 there. Okay. So negative 2 plus 1, I should be circling these, sorry. Okay. So negative 2 plus 1, if I'm at negative 2 and move 1 to the right, that's going to be negative 1. Okay. Now we add the negative 20. Now remember, after each step we reset the wall and the operators. Circle the times. Okay, the number not multiplied, we got to take that to 0. It's negative 20, so we'd add 20. So it'd be 32. So it'd be negative 1 dot x. And then I'm down to just the multiplying number, which I divide by that, by negative 1. So x equals negative 32. Okay, now to check that answer, I think x is negative 32 minus 2 parentheses, and I come to another x, negative 32 plus 10 should be 12. Yep. That one's kind of a tough one. Okay, I'm going to go to the next page. If you have the next problem there, that's fine. Okay, but so negative 15 equals 5, parentheses 3x minus 10 minus 5x. Set the operators up. So you're over here, wall operators. So times, minus, that's going to be plus negative. Another minus, that's going to be plus negative. Okay, the parentheses are definitely a problem here. Okay, so here's the parentheses with the 5 outside, so I distribute my 5. So 5 times 3 times x and times negative 10. Okay, so line up your equation. You have negative, and by the way, this is 15 with x, this is negative 50 plus sign. So I got negative 15, and then over here I write these two products with the plus sign between them. 15x plus negative 50. Now, after that's done, you want to cross out the parentheses and the number multiplied into it. All that's gone, but we do have to add our negative 5x. Okay. Now, after that's done, you need to reset the wall and reset your operators. Times x plus times x. Okay. Now, combine x's if you need to. Well, I think we need to because there's two of them. So I connect them with a V and write the word add. So I write x down and I add 15 to negative 5. So let's clear our head a second. 15, 5 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 10. And then plus a negative 50. Okay, wall, reset the operators, times and plus. Circle the times. So the non-multiplied terms, the non-multiplied by x terms, we need to get to 0. So that negative 50 we take to 0. Well, if I'm at a negative getting to 0, that's adding, so plus 50. Negative 15 plus 50 is 35. Use a calculator on that problem. Then 10 dot x. Okay. The only operation less multiplication, we do the division then. 10 times a number is 35. What's the number? 35 divided by 10 tells me it's 3.5. Okay, to check the answer, go 5, parentheses 3, times x, which is 3.5, minus 10, close the parentheses, minus 5, times 3.5, ought to be negative 15. Boom. Okay, last one. Negative parentheses x plus 3 equals 16. So the operators, okay, you're going to have a negative 1 times, then x plus 3. No minuses. Okay, again, we have that problem with the parentheses, so we'd come over the top. Okay. So negative 1 times x and times 3. So it's going to be negative 1x and negative 3. Okay, cross out the parentheses. 16's over here. Cross out the parentheses along with the number into it. There's nothing else over there, so now we go from here. Remember, you want to reset the wall and reset your operators. Times, plus. Okay, combine x's if you need to. Don't need to. That's the only 1 times x is the only x factor I have. The non-multiplied terms, the ones, when I say that I mean the ones that aren't multiplied by x, we have to get those off that side. Get that to a 0. So negative 3. That would be 3 to the right, so that would be plus 3. Plus 3. So negative 1 dot x, 16 plus 3 is 19. And now you're down to just the division. And x equals negative 19. Okay, so click your negative key, parentheses, x is negative 19 plus 3, close that. Hopefully it's 16. It sure is.